anytime people kind of got a glimpse into that world of Nike innovation, like the process of making shit, they would lose their mind. Like,
Only real content is gonna last. All that other nonsense is here today and gone tomorrow.
So after tech, I know that another huge project that you worked on is the House of Innovation. Um,
yep.
and could you just quickly touch on like what was your role in that project and like kind of your
Sure.
preparations for that?
Yeah, so I was the head of creative for all Nike retail at the time. This is the second time I was in retail. So basically, we had the opportunity, like retail had gotten a little tired, a little played out, like it had just become kind of transactional. Like stores were just kind of like places to just go get product. It wasn't really about an experience. It wasn't really interesting in a respect that it really made you like feel like you were a part of like some cool story. And so we basically were like kind of given the opportunity to reset kind of the flagship experience for Nike, which is at the time would have been all the Nike talents. That was the old flagship experience, which had, been around forever, but it hadn't really updated in a long time. So they were like, let's reimagine like our flagship stores. And so for me, it was super simple. I'm like, like when people came to Nike, we would take them, like it could be an athlete or like a retailer or like press, it could be whoever. If they come to the campus, sometimes they get a tour of the innovation kitchen, which was where we made, tested all the product, where we did like a lot of sports research, where we just experimented. And it was kind of like Nike's kind of secret mad scientist lair. And anytime people got a little peek into that zone, I mean, it's definitely like highly sensitive stuff, but like they would go crazy, like, oh my God, like this is the coolest thing. So for me, I was like, the brief was simple. Like I basically went back and just said to like the leadership in Nike, because we needed to get the money to fund it, right? So we had to tell them what it was. We had to go, here's the concept. And I was basically like, dude, let's just do that for the rest of the world. Like, let's give the rest of the world the experience we give these people when they come to our campus. Like, let's turn the berm inside out and like, let's just like bring that innovation kitchen idea to 4 stories in Manhattan. Let's bring it to Paris. Let's kind of create like retail that isn't just about how many shirts you can fold on a table or how many sweatshirts you can fit on a rack or how many shoes you can fit on a wall. Let's actually storytell around the shit that we're passionate about as a brand, right? Which is innovating for athletes. And so that was the basic idea. And I mean, I don't want to, again, like I'm a humble piece of a much bigger team that, all over the world. I mean, it's like, 200 plus people that probably worked on all that stuff. And I was lucky enough to kind of get to champion those ideas and to work with the business to kind of put a look and a feel and a name and an attitude to what the flagship experience could be. That was bigger than just buying something. Like retail, you don't need a store anymore. You can, if you want to buy a pair of AF1s, you can go on your phone a lot easier lying in your bed at night than getting up and taking a train to a store or driving or walking in the rain. Like, so you don't need a physical store. So for me, it was simple. It was like, just turn Nike inside out and share our passion and make it a cool experience that people want to go and see and take a picture and be a part of and hear those deep stories behind the product that, how did the Vaporfly shoe come to be? Like, there's just so much cool shit.
Right.
That was pretty easy for me, like from an idea standpoint.
Right.
And the name House of Innovation actually came from dude, this is the net, like, so, I talk about Tech Pack was an old name that got recycled. House of Innovation actually was a brand activation. I want to say Beijing Olympics. It was like an event space that we did. It was like a little like event press
That's
Right. A little pop-up.
Yeah, it was a little pop-up. It wasn't a store or anything, but it was like a little pop-up, and we just brought it back. We were like, let's just call it what it is. Like, we don't need to like come up with some random obscure name. Like, let's just be what it is. And that's, I don't know, man, that's kind of the story. But it was one of the coolest things. I was in Shanghai when the store, like the first flagship opened. We did 3 in like a year and a half. We did New York, Shanghai, and Paris. And yeah, man, I just remember them, like kids were camped out like all night long, and there were thousands of people outside. And I just remember standing inside and seeing them open the doors and just have all these like kids just like rush the store, like just go crazy, just running like everywhere. And like, I just was standing there with Andy and some other people from my team, and it was just crazy goosebumps, like just to see like this thing you've worked so hard on, all of a sudden, like, it's like you giving it to the world, and they're just like, just going crazy. And yeah, it was cool, man. I bet there's like, you know, like some young 12-year-old, 14-year-old kids that like, that moment probably will be burned in their brain the same way when I was 14 and I went into a skate shop and saw this world of skateboarding that I didn't know about. And I was like forever burned in my brain. So it's exciting to think like I got to be a part of something that maybe influenced people when they were kind of at that moment in their life where, you know, maybe gave them some kind of interest or excitement or whatever.
I'll raise my hand. It affected me. That store is so cool. Just like the fact, like what you said about just like being able to see behind like how the fly knits were made is like,
Totally.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, like, there's just, yeah, there's so much amazing. Nike's like one of the raddest brands for a million reasons, but like their passion for making athletes better, like that's when Nike's at its best, it's just doing that. And then cool shit just comes from it. You know what I mean?